sus2. To F over D, which is also D minor 7. I just ended with an F sus2 and a little lick. Jimi Hendrix liked to use these kind of techniques too. You hear them on Third Stone from the Sun, and you also hear it on songs like Angel and One Rainy Wish. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use suspended shapes, or like 6/9 shapes. There's a couple different ways to analyze them, and slide them around against the low E pedal. Here's the riff. 1, 2, 3, and... fretting 1 fret higher with the ring finger. So this is like an E6/9 chord. And when I pull it back, you could think of it as D6/9 over E, or it's also like an E sus2 sus4, and I went here. And this is another 6/9 chord, but like a major 7. You could call it major 9, 13. There's a lot of names for that. And then this here is like a E6, E6/9, again, just like that. And then I went over here. There's a couple ways to look at that. That's like E7 sus4. But then on the way up, I played. So this here. It's like E minor 7 sus4, back to our D6/9, or however we want to call that, back to the top. Another great way to use pedal tones for acoustic guitar parts is to take major triad shapes and just move them up and down the neck, basically symmetrically, meaning that I'm not keeping my chord forms staying within a specific scale. And you're going to hear Jimmy Page do stuff like this on Song Remains the Same, Pete Townsend on Amazing Journey. Those are two really good examples. But you hear it in all different kinds of acoustic rock music. And when you hear it, you'll see what I mean. 1, 2, 3, and... So all I'm doing is taking my D chord form, first position, and I slide it up a whole step so it's E over a D pedal tone. Slide it up another half step. So you could call it an F triad against the D, but it also can be analyzed as D minor 7. That's G over D, A over D, B flat, C, and then back to D. So let's take that concept and move it down one string, and instead of using an open D pedal tone, we'll use an open A pedal tone, real common. And I'm going to use an A, start with an A triadic shape, and move up in 1, 2, 3, and... Now let's take that same idea and move it one more string lower to use our open low E as a pedal tone. And keep in mind what I had done was when I used the D as a pedal tone, I started with a D chord shape. A pedal tone, started with an A, so now E. I'm going to start with an E shape. Same deal, move up the neck. And listen to how cool it sounds using this, just the same shape and the different sounds that you can get on the guitar. The other thing is as I move over to the lower strings, that gives me the opportunity to use the open top two strings to ring as well as higher pedal tones. 1, 2, 3, and... Another great way to use pedal tones is to combine them with chordal arpeggiations. This next example, I'm going to use sixths. I'm going to use two-note pairs that are sixths apart which means when you look at a scale, if you have a note, you count 6 scale degrees higher, and that's where the next note is. You hear a rhythm part like this in Wanted Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi, but it's real common. Pete Townsend, again, I'm arpeggiating, which means I'm picking all the notes individually, but I allow it to ring throughout to get a full sound. Here it is. All right, I'm repeatedly picking that D pedal, and then on the G and the high E string, I'm playing these little 2-note figures that outline D minor. The 5th and the minor 3rd, the 4th and the 2nd, minor 3rd, and the root. So the pairs of notes are coming from the D Dorian mode, and then that just continues down the strings, straight down the scale, but played in harmony every time. All right, this next example is going to be played in the style of James Taylor, and what I'm doing here is I'm changing the pedal tone to accommodate the different chord as the chord goes by. So let me play the example, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. I start with the open D string, and immediately in like one move, I do a hammer from the index to the pinky. So while holding this shape, which is like a D sus2 shape, 7th, 5th, 5th, pick, and then with the fingers, the G and B string, and hammer right away. And then finger pick the high E string. And this is a hammer pull. And then I just move the concept over to the open A string with hammering from 4th fret on the G to 6th fret while holding 5th fret of the B. Same kind of deal. A hammer pull 4-6 on the G. Then I went to... So this is like a G major 7th chord. And then I arpeggiate fingering to play an A major chord is something that is like a James Taylor patent. It's really like the way you would play a D chord, going from index, ring to middle. Normally people would play index, middle, ring, or just bar for an A chord. But he does the A just like you would do a D, because it enables you to do the same kind of little embellishments. So I'm bringing that middle finger down while the other strings are ringing. Pinky, pull off. That's G. D with an F sharp bass. Back.